All right, True Crime Grapevine fans, it's me, Patti Lee, your favorite dyslexic detective, well, armchair detective. This is our 27th episode, our 27th week. It is reviewing more than a week, though, about a week and a half, August 24th through September 2nd. And our second case is up. What do we have? We have two cases that Adventures with Purpose have been covering. Adventures with Purpose, if you don't know, they have a YouTube channel. Hi, Jared. He's the founder and runs the YouTube, I think the back office. He's doing, I think, more administrative stuff, but Jared is fabulous. And so is his team, Nick and Doug Bishop and a whole crew that make up a special sonar using underwater recovery team. They used to start off, and I watched during the pandemic, like all of their videos. They started out just looking for, trying to, Jared and, was it Doug working with him at first? There've been a couple people moving in and out, but they're all really great. They were working first just at cleaning up waterways and finding things, and then they used magnets, and then sonar, and then they found bigger things in cars, and then inside cars they ended up finding remains, and it sort of evolved into, helping people where there was a cold case and somebody had disappeared with a car. That's sort of their things they look for when people are missing in their car and they're around water. They have developed a very specialized way of using sonar, and it's fancy. They've gotten fancier and fancier equipment, but it's really their expertise. And one of the things I studied in school is expertise, and it's not just experience of using something about 10,000 hours or 10 or more years, but it's that's experience, but not everybody who's experienced is an expert. They've really developed an expertise. They just know what to look for because they're using these sonars. They use 3 different types of sonar. They've just learned very specifically, kind of like a doctor, if you've ever seen an ultrasound or a heart, like any kind of ultrasound, either a baby or a heart or anything. The doctor, especially if you're familiar, a lot of people are with babies, the ultrasound person will be like, see, there's this and there's that, and it looks like a cloud and murky. It's the same if you, they were Adventures with Purpose. At first this week they came out with the Kiely Rodni case. They did find her car and they found her in it. And that was the last that I updated you on. So there's been a lot of drama after this that we're going to talk about. But I just want to tell you that Adventures with Purpose are so amazing that when they're doing how they look, and they show you all of it, like when they don't find something, when they find things that they think are something that aren't, it's very interesting. So please go watch their channel. But they just put out these 2 new ones. Well, first one was a sneak peek, and then if you can, please join their become a member of their YouTube channel, because it really helps them fund these type of things. They didn't take the $75,000 reward for finding Kiely. They go to help families. They want to work with police. They're not there to get glory and reward. So please go support them. Anyway, so they one of the people that they were looking, after they looked for and found Kiely last week, they were also then going to look for in nearby Selma, California. I mean, nearby as in 3-4 hours away from the Truckee area where Kiely Rodni lived. Adventures with Purpose went to Selma, California because Jolissa Fuentes was missing. And we talked about Jolissa. I just introduced her case quickly last week. So she is still missing. Adventures with Purpose, what they do is they go to the last known phone ping or sighting of the person, and then they go in a increasingly large circle target area. And I think they go out, they start with like 10, they aim for 10 miles out from that area, and then they clear all the waterways between where the person was last seen and then 10 miles out. So they went to, there was Avocado Lake, there was the, there was another big lake, Pine, I know I wrote that down, sorry guys. The upshoot is, though, they cleared all the waterways. So now the police in Selma can focus on, okay, this is a criminal matter. They know she's not in the waterways, so now they can look for her elsewhere. So that really helps law enforcement. I mean, it's very hard on her family. Now, I did see her family released one more piece of information, that she was wearing one of those little backpacks. It was a Kenneth Cole black, and it had some of Kenneth Cole's, like, it's still dark, but it has like the shiny different surface with the matte background with the initials. Hopefully I can put in a picture of that, but you can also look that up. So it's a little Kenneth Cole backpack. That was her purse. That is also missing. Her car is missing, and she was driving a Hyundai silver Accent. It's a 2011, and that's all we know. She has now been gone 22 days, and we hope that something turns up. So, but she's not in the water, and that is good. So let's keep her, Jolissa. She's 22, from Selma. Let's keep her in our prayers and her family. Hopefully, somebody out there knows something, probably. Please say something. All right, so, and the other case that Adventures with Purpose, the Kiely Rodni case. So, it's so strange that now, even after she's been found, it's almost as if people can't stop obsessing about what really happened. Part of it, I think, is she was beautiful and young and had her whole life ahead of her, and everybody, her mom, her dad, her grandpa, her family was so amazing and so kind, and her mother so wanted her back and deserved to have her baby back. I mean, it's heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. It's the worst case scenario, and I think psychologically we want to have a reason for it instead of just having it be like the random universe can just do horrible things, even if you're a good person. Even if, why? We want to know why. It doesn't seem fair. And so we want there to be somebody at fault. It was her friends. It was her boyfriend. It was a bad guy. Because there's now, so everybody is looking. So now, so with that all said, and what I told you at the end of last time we spoke, I said, look, it seems like she was, at this party late drinking. She's only 16. A couple YouTubers or fans of YouTubers went out to the area at night, filmed it, very dark. I mean, I could see how you could drive right in. And there was a road. Now, after we see the recovery that Adventures with Purpose did, and especially after there were a couple interviews, Zav Girl, she's an Ohio friend of mine. She's another YouTube creator who lives in the Great Lakes area in Ohio, although she's, I'm in like northwest, southeast Michigan, northwest Ohio area, the armpit of Ohio, I call it, where like Lake Erie is. She's all the way over in like the Akron area, but she's a fabulous creator. I really enjoy her. She does long form lives, and she's very kind. She's super kind. I mean, she's almost too kind. She bends over backwards to give people like the benefit of the doubt, and she lets anybody talk. I mean, she doesn't say, "Hey, that's crazy," or cut people off. She lets everybody express their opinion, which I give her credit for. I don't know if I could be that great. And she's got a sidekick, Bella, who she is on YouTube with Bella with bedtime stories, but she is a really good friend of Zav Girl, and Zav Girl's name is Tiffany, and they just are great together, and it's really nice. It's kind of like Pretty Lies and Alibis when it was Gigi and Fruit Loop. It's nice to hear two people, not like one person just talk at you, right? But like have two people and have a nice friendship. It's kind of like you're just listening to friends talk. But anyways, so Zav Girl had on Jared, and then Friday, this morning, this is Friday, I saw the whole entire video and watched it very closely. And what I will tell you is, after listening to what Jared had to say on Zav Girl's live, and he's been popping in other people's lives, I really am not sure if there was foul play. Now, and I've always said it could have been dumb kids, like there's an accident, somebody ODs, somebody ODs, they get scared, they put her in the water. Like, that would be horrific, right? But it could be something worse. Okay, so here's the weird thing. We're not sure. Okay, so it's not from law enforcement, but we know law enforcement doesn't talk, right? But Adventures with Purpose, in their video, they ran into this guy who was a tow truck driver, but he wasn't driving the tow truck. He like worked for like tow truck service, but he was like in the battery van, the van, to go out to check, I guess, on Kiely. It was her car, and it was a blonde girl with a guy. He describes, and this is on tape that the company has, which I'm sure now law enforcement for sure has. And he parked to protect himself. He parks like so you can see the car and the interaction, and it actually has high definition camera, and on the front and the back of the trucks, as well as audio recording. So, but he said the 2 times he knows just from his own phone, because it shows, how Google Maps will show you where you've been. He went to that Truckee area twice, Saturday and Sunday. So if you remember, Kiely went missing Friday night, and her last ping near the edge of the water of her phone was Saturday morning, but at like just Saturday, like 12:33. So how could she be? And the guy said it was just north of there, near Boca Lake. How could she be near Boca Lake at 11 a.m. with a guy in her car? And the interaction, he said, like at first, if you do any sort of work with the public, especially when the public needs help, that you can run into people who are a little off, right? And he said she seemed like hungover, wasn't really with it, very like distraught, anxious. And he said they didn't really stick together. Like if he was talking to her, the guy would walk around the other side of the car, but and he walked with the girl, they're always like on other sides of the car. Like was she, and I didn't get like, was she trying to stay away from him, or was one trying to distract the other from something in the car? It's very unclear exactly what was happening. It sounded, though, when I heard it, I was thinking like interpersonal violence issues. Like she was afraid of this guy, and she was asking like really basic questions. Like the car hadn't started, which was another thing. Like, so is this really her? It's Kiely's car, because he took the license plate down. It was a blonde girl that looked like her, but there's, a couple of friends who look like her. He said they asked, the girl was like, we can't get it started. but it wasn't a battery problem. It was that the car was in neutral, and they didn't know they could start it in neutral, or because it was in neutral, they couldn't really start it as easily. I don't know. So because it was in neutral, it wouldn't start. Anyways, they started the car, and he told them, just let it run. It needs to, it'll be fine. But she was asking him things like, well, like, how does the seat belt, like, how can I make sure it stays in really firmly? Which seems odd, right? Like, why would you be asking somebody about how your seat belts work in your own car? And why would you not know where it needs to be, what gear it needs to be in to start? I don't know. So the two things are, was that Kiely? And what guy was she with? Or was that somebody else with somebody else from the party, and Kiely was in the back unalived, and they were needing to do something and couldn't just leave the car, and were getting anxious and freaked out, and maybe had spent the whole night not knowing what to do, driving around, maybe stopped to sleep and then couldn't start the car because it was in something. If it really is Saturday, that is a huge problem, because they were told that. That's why they cleared Boca Lake first, even though they were going to go to Prosser first, because even though law enforcement has said they had cleared Prosser, Adventures with Purpose clears everything themselves, because that's what they do to know for sure, so that they could say, yes, it's cleared. They just double check if somebody else, yes, I get it, but we do. But because they go where the person was last seen, they get this information from this Nick, this driver from this service, and they said, well, who called you? Well, he gets the calls from dispatch. But dispatch has the number. And later on, Jared intonated that, yes, they know who the guy is, because that's whose phone number called in. And then because it was a service, I believe, related to Kiely's car, they tried to call Kiely's phone, because her phone number was associated with the service that comes to roadside, and her phone wouldn't ring. And so the guy said, oh yeah, she said her phone was dead, that's why her boyfriend, or the guy called in. I don't know if he said boyfriend. I don't want to give I don't think that's what he said, she said. But anyways, so that's a huge, weird, if it's true, right, crazy piece of information. So that would have been Saturday at 11 a.m. So her mom would have been looking for her at home. They would have been seeing if she was going to show up to meet at the location to go camping, which was like 11 a.m. So what? Now there's this other guy who just got put in jail for giving fentanyl to a 15-year-old who died. And his name is Nate, and he does know the group. Apparently there's a picture with him with, I think, Sammy and another girl. He's part of that area, part of that group. He's 20, but he's partying with these young girls, as evidenced by the dead 15-year-old. So could he have been the guy? Did he have anything? I think he was put in jail in between the intervening. He was arrested after Kiely went missing, and was in jail before she was found, if that timing is right. So he's an interesting, but there's no known connection. But it's just interesting that he's, we don't know if she was given anything. We don't know what happened. Oh, and then the last piece that came out that was kind of interesting was that apparently, so Adventures with Purpose was taking a call and they bleeped the name, but Kiely had been fighting with somebody right before the end of the party. And if you remember, what people said was, all of a sudden at 12:30 everybody left, and that's when her phone also stopped pinging. And one of her friends said she called her right about that time. I mean, there's like a 3-minute difference that everybody thinks means that the girl is somehow involved, and I don't know about that. I don't know now. All last week, until I saw how she was found and the circumstances surrounding it, I 100% believed, like, this just sucks. Life is unpredictable, and you can take a wrong turn and end up in the water. But how her car went in, some of her windows were down, which would mean her car would fill up very quickly. And you wouldn't have time to, you wouldn't float, and you wouldn't also go, you wouldn't be able to have enough time to get out of your seatbelt. Like, you'd have to immediately get out. And if there was a window down and water was coming in, you would think, I don't know. And people have shown the inside of a 2013 Honda CRV, and it looks like the head, like it's tight in the back. And she was found in the back, like the way back, in the cargo area. So could she have floated back there? It seems like it's really tight, even though the car was like flipped over. It is very, I don't know. And I can't even tell you. There was another, if you want to go follow Nerdy Attic on Twitter, there's another, I don't know, he manipulated a photograph of a screenshot, and I'm not even going to say what, if true, it's horrific. I don't have any evidence of what he said is true. I'm not discounting it or saying it's not true, but I would like more evidence before I tell you about that. But you can go follow him if you want to read up about that. I will just tell you, her parents have gone through hell and back. Oh, the other controversy, speaking of her parents, so her mom had a media bubble, a media barrier around her, meaning her mom wasn't like on Twitter, she wasn't watching the news, she didn't want to hear all the crazy crap, because every minute somebody was saying something nuts. And if you've watched anything where people pile on Twitter or say crazy stuff, she didn't want to hear any of that. She just was waiting to hear about her baby. So she had people she assigned to tell her, like they were supposed to tell her. Now, the dad and the grandfather had hooked up with another PI guy who was out there looking around, and I think might have been on scene when Adventures with Purpose were there, or Adventures with Purpose had their contact information. But I think because of the media bubble that the mom very smartly, I think, set up, but because they were divorced, I think they had separate contact people, so that when Adventures with Purpose went to, they contact the family first. That's just the way they operate. And Ellie knows, everybody knows us. So, and then immediately, like, the diver who went down, when he came up, he was like, she's in the back, she's in the way back. It looks suspicious, call the authorities. So, like, right away, the authorities were being called. But before they called the authorities, they called the family. And I think that's important, because that's who needs to know first. So the dad and grandpa were there right away. Somehow there is a lot of chitter chatter about the mom being angry and she wasn't told first and she had to find out by a waitress. And I don't know if that's accurate. It's unfortunate if it is accurate, but that is nobody's fault. And why assign blame if there's no solution? There's no solution because we can't redo it. So besides maybe, Adventures with Purpose could tell people, look, we need one contact person. I know you're divorced, but because I forget what her name is, but she, on Twitter or on YouTube, she goes by Dr. Latina. She's this great medical doctor who's been on Zav Girl. She's been on Ickadmel. She's a wonderful, I don't know if she's a psychologist or a pediatrician, but she's she's got advanced degrees, I believe. She's a wonderful medical doctor in pediatrics and maybe also in psychology. But she very kindly laid it out as, look, like in an emergency situation in hospitals, we tell people we need one person. I don't care if you're divorced. This is a very, and things can change on a dime. We need one person to contact. Like, you make the telephone from there. Who's it gonna be? Because they're not gonna be fighting about divorced people and who to tell for, like, who gets the first and who gets. No, you pick one person. Families got to come together. So I think maybe Adventures with Purpose, maybe they did that and it just didn't work out, and somehow they got the blame, and it's not their fault. Like, they're not a telephone service. They told the dad. He was right there. So, and we don't know. Everybody's like, the mom is mad. She wrote this letter. Maybe the letter's debunked. We don't know. I find it hard to believe that she would be writing a letter, and there's all these weirdos. Sorry if you're one of them. Huh? But I don't think any of those people would watch my channel very long. But there's people who like pretend to be people, and I know life can be boring and hard, and you want some drama or something, or feel a way to be connected to something bigger. And I know psychologically that's what draws people into this kind of thing. But when you take that next step and you sort of like tell people, like, act like you're somebody in the story online, you like sort of catfish into the story. It's anyway, I don't know. Since the mom was so media buffering, I doubt she's putting up letters. I personally, because that doesn't go with everything else about her. She wanted to find her baby. She wanted to get Kiely messages. Now that Kiely's found, I think she wants to, like, just take care of her broken heart. I don't think she wants people around her. I don't think she's talking to people online. I think she's heartbroken. I think the dad is too. So I wish we could all let the family do their thing. Are we interested? Yes. Adventures with Purpose hinted, like they said, if anybody who hurts a 16-year-old is a sicko, and they are. So I don't know if the nerdy addict guy was right, but like something about how she was found, that guy was freaked out, the diver, and he knew, he was like, call the cops. Basically, there's a crime. That's how it looked. And I've watched Adventures with Purpose. I don't think they are people to make up. They don't need to make it up to make it worse. They don't need to make it more dramatic, because it's as dramatic as it gets. So I am concerned that it's more than it looks like. I hope it's not as bad as it sounds by the one person's idea. We will know if it was, we'll know by the cause and manner. So if she wasn't drowned, if she died some other way, we'll know that. And then we'll know the manner of it. So if it's an accident, I guess we might not hear much. And then if it's considered, I think, a murder, we might not hear a lot either, but I think we will hear homicide and manner. Or I'm sorry, we wouldn't hear cause, but we would hear the type, the manner, but not the cause. I don't think they'd have to release the cause if it was an active case, but they would say it was like foul play. So I think if it's an accident, I don't know if they have to say. That's still up for a lot of debate on the YouTubers. But anyways, so please go to Adventures with Purpose on YouTube. Join their channel if you can. At least it's free. I did it. Subscribe. I mean, I did it a while ago, but subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Do that here too if you want. But please, if you don't have to do it for me, but please go do it for Adventures with Purpose, because it amplifies their message, and they really do fabulous work to give parents back. It's horrible, but at least they're not wondering where their baby is. And that is our second crimes case, investigation phase. We're going to go on to our gotcha phase next. All right. Hold on. Like and subscribe.